Start again. For Sunday, June 28th, 2020. I'm Michael James Ott. This is the Pro and Con Show. Just like it says on the tablet, the magic tablet, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. As always, welcome to the show. As always, just a couple seconds here about, you can fast forward this if you watch many of my shows, but right here at the beginning, encouraging all of us to be better citizens, to listen to each other, okay? And to ferret out the truth, that's the factual truth, the who, the what, the where, and the when, and, come to at least a common understanding by asking other people, how did you get where you are on this issue? How did you get where you are? And I seriously want to know, and then I would ask you to pay me, the respect of allowing me to answer that same question in response. And what you're going to find, because I've seen it hundreds of times, there's a lot more common ground than people would ever believe is even possible. That reminds me, I need to talk to my wife about this particular thing. She's got some significant meetings coming up, and I need to talk to her. Anyway, so today's show is called Shareholders. And so one of the things that's problematic in our country is that we have this wrong definition of success. So our definition of success is accumulation of wealth, influence, and power. And what often happens is people, given our definition, our faulty definition of success, there's people out there, the so-called type A people, that they're driven to do that. They're driven to succeed. Well, one of the ways that they can do that is by being kind of clever about how they influence people to do what they want them to do. And shareholders, let me tell you about shareholders here just a little bit. So in corporate America, over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been this kind of generic discussion about companies doing the right thing for their shareholders. So if you read the mission statements and stuff like that, it's, increase shareholder value, do the right thing for the shareholders, Well, in exact parallel with that, almost all corporations, if they're a publicly held company and they have stock, they have been opening up these employee investment programs where employees can invest, and usually at a discount. At least the places I've worked, it's been at like a 15% discount. So the employees can take part of their paycheck and they can invest in the company stock, and they can get a 15% discount on the day that they make the investment. And then if they want to, they can sell the stock immediately. So they can get kind of an automatic 15% increase in the money. And that all sounds good. On the surface, that all sounds good. So what are they doing? Well, they're encouraging employees, because the reality is, and I'm not going to have these numbers perfect, but the reality is that less than half, but it's about half, but less than half of Americans own stock, let alone in their own companies. And then there's, of that half that own stock, I don't know, maybe 30% of Americans, so 50% don't own stock, 30% own some stock, but it's not a lot. And sometimes it's just, like, I don't know, a few hundred shares or whatever, maybe even a couple thousand shares in their company, for example, or in just maybe a 401k or whatever. And then the vast majority of all the stock and stuff like that is held in the hands of the top 5% kind of thing. Well, here's the thing, okay? So when and this is absolutely true, and this really like blackened my heart when I started realizing the manipulation that's going on here. So these corporations are encouraging employees to become small investors, because that's all they can afford to be, but investors nonetheless, shareholders nonetheless, in the company. And okay, yeah, we're all one team here, I'm part owner, all that kind of stuff. But what most employees don't understand is that while they're doing that, the very tippy top of the organization, the CEO, the chief financial officer, chief operations officer, there's a layer there of usually like 10 people or something like that. And these people aren't talking about, a few hundred shares that they have to purchase. These people are being given stock options basically for free. And we're not talking about a few hundred stock options. We are talking about millions of options. So when the CEO, this is what really disturbs me about this, the fact that we allow it, but mostly out of ignorance, I believe. I think most Americans don't understand that this is going on. Or if they do, well, then out of apathy, because they're rich guys, they're going to screw us. No. Anyway, so what's going on is the CEO is like, yeah, we got to do what's right for the shareholders and share value and blah, 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 blah. Well, by speaking of it that way, it's not saying, well, we got to do what's right for me, but that's really what he's saying. He's just got a way to say it that is more appetizing to the average employee, because if you think about it, if there's 30 or 40 50% of the employees in the company have some company stock, and the CEO is like, well, we got to do what's right for the shareholders. Well, a lot of the employees are going, yeah, I'm a shareholder, I get it, but they're shareholders of a few hundred shares. The regular employees, a couple thousand shares, 5,000 shares, whereas the CEO and then the head guys of the company are millions. And I mean many millions. It's very often, it's 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 million shares. It depends on the companies and stuff like that. But oh my God, it's just like, well, I'm not going to come up with a good analogy in the short term here, but the point is, this whole thing around shareholders, that is a manipulation. That's the biggest reason why it exists. That's the biggest reason why these little employee purchase plans, they're called, or whatever, it's why they exist, is because the guys, the top 10 guys in these organizations, and because someone started doing it, 10 or 15 years ago, and then, oh, that's working. They're convincing their employees that, they're shareholders. And, it makes the whole politics and of influence and stuff much easier, And, but anyway, these guys, they came up with a scheme to manipulate the thoughts of the employees. And that's really a dark, dark thing in my view. And we should really be, and so if you're an employee of a company, you should really be looking at this. And I'll tell you that when it, so I kind of figured this out, what year was it? Like 1999 or something. So 20 some years ago. At the time, I had gotten to a place in the organization where I was actually being given some of these stock options, but not many, a few hundred kind of thing. But even that felt good, you know. But at the time, our company was like doing okay, but not great and stuff like that. And they started coming out with, well, here's the priorities for the company. And one of them was to remain independent. And they've had some, you know, words around why that was important. But I was sitting there thinking, and why is that important? Who benefits from a few people, 5 or 10 people, maintaining control of an organization with, you know, whatever at the time, 50,000 employees? Who benefits? And when I asked myself that question, the only response could have been, oh, it's these guys at the very top of the organization. They're the ones that benefit there because they get to control and award themselves, you know, stock options and all this other stuff because they're in control of their own destiny. That's the only reason why the company, you know, remaining independent made a, you know, significant importance. And so, you know, again, you have these light bulb moments, you know, these revelations, and so that's why I'm doing this show on shareholders. And the only reason why I'm doing it is I was reminded, I had a conversation with one of my wife's family members. We were traveling together for a brief period of time, and we just started talking about various things, and we kind of got on to the subject about stocks and shareholders and stuff like that, and it caused me to think about all this, and then that immediately caused me to want to share it on one of these shows. All right, so don't be manipulated by this. Realize who the real shareholders are of your company. That's the bottom line. For the Pro and Con Show, my name is Michael James Ott, and until the next show, bye for now.